turkey for you. Let's eat turkey in a big brown shoe. Love to eat the turkey at the table. I once saw a movie with Betty Grable. Eat that turkey all night long. 50 million Elvis fans can't be wrong. Turkey, turkey dee, turkey, turkey dap. I eat the turkey and I take a nap. Thanksgiving is a special night. Jimmy Walker.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to Basketball Conference, the ACC Football Podcast. My name's Joey Weaver. He's Mike McDaniel. Mike, happy Thanksgiving. How are you?
That is how you lead in to a Thanksgiving rivalry week preview. Well done, Scott.
Shout out producer Scott.
I do what I can, you know.
That was awesome. Well done. Well done. Mike, it is Thanksgiving. By the time people are listening to this, maybe it is. Maybe it's the big day. Maybe you're listening to this on your turkey trot. Maybe you're listening to this trying to avoid family or trying to prep a turkey or whatever else you're cooking that day. I don't know. But in any case, it is a big weekend in college football. It is week 13. It is rivalry week. Hope you all enjoy your Thanksgiving, whatever you're doing that day, whoever you're with, if you're with nobody, like hanging out with us. Hope you enjoy your day. Hope you have a great holiday. Hope everyone enjoys it, and hope everyone sticks around and checks out to see what happens in the games this weekend that we're going to preview here, week 13. As mentioned, it is Hate Week, Rivalry Week. We got a bunch of rivalry games we're going to talk about here tonight. Mike, we have a game on Friday, on Black Friday, that we're going to talk about, and we got a bunch on Saturday. Yeah, we do. Before we get into that, Mike, just a reminder to people that we are on youtube.com/@the ACC Football Podcast. Excuse me. We have some folks here with us tonight in the chat, helping to join the conversation. I see our friend Harry Balls is already the first one in the chat tonight. So good to have that individual back with us. I mean, it is.
I agree. No, I agree. It was just that your sentence was very funny.
I don't know what else to say. So come join us there. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the bell icon to be notified when we're going to go live. And we would love to have you join the conversation and join our little community we've been building here. So do that. Mike, is there anything else that we're missing here before we start jumping into a couple of these games?
Scott,
shout out everyone. Oh, hold on.
Oh,
shout out everyone for helping us meet 200 on Spotify.
Yeah.
Subscribing.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
And then Mike wanted this.
That is what I wanted. Bowling Green coach Scott Loeffler picks up a $7,500 bonus because guess what happened tonight, Joey?
They didn't win, did they?
Bowling Green beat Western Michigan for their 5th MAC win of the season. Loeffler has now accrued $32,500 worth of bonuses. Bowling Green, baby. Bowling Green.
Weren't they down by like 30 points, or did I have that backwards?
You had that backwards. Bowling Green 34, Western Michigan 10. Bowling Green has finished the season 7-5. They are going to a bowl game. We knew that already, but they're going to an even better one now.
Right.
Yeah, they don't call them Bowling Green for nothing, like I told you last week. Or I guess
quality loss for the Jackets.
That's right. That's spin zone.
Yeah. Whatever it takes, Mike. Whatever it takes.
Yeah.
Shout out to the Falcons. They got it done, and Scott Loeffler, continues failing upwards. Good job, Bowling Green.
Did you
Boston
say it was
College
a $7,500 bonus? That's it, or was it 75,000?
7,500.
That's not enough.
I got a bigger bonus at work this year.
That's what I was about to say.
Maconomics there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Way to go, Scott.
Bowling Green head coach Scott Loeffler. Syracuse head coach Scott Loeffler. I mean, let's talk about jobs actually open. Syracuse head coach Scott Loeffler. Who says no?
Mike is manifesting over here, trying to speak it into existence. Just to be clear, Syracuse fans, I don't want that for you.
Another Bowling Green head coach. What could possibly go wrong, right?
I mean, the last one hung around for 8 years, so
I will say it would be much funnier than A&M hiring Norvell, like their second straight Florida State coach, like we talked about last week. This would be funnier.
Oh, it'd be way funnier.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would have a lot of questions of how did we get here, and why, and what do you think this is going to be, and lots of those types of questions.
Yeah, that would be a hire that I'm not sure John Wildhack would have had in mind if he went about firing Dino Babers again. You know,
I might even argue that's a downgrade from Dino Babers.
That's a conversation worth having. You know.
Yeah, exactly. Mike, another conversation worth having is about these games this weekend. Mm-hmm. Let's jump in. We have a bunch of these. Again, I actually didn't really count them, but we got a bunch. We're going to start on Friday, Black Friday at noon on ABC, as the the Miami Hurricanes are on the road in Chestnut Hill taking on the Boston College Eagles. And Mike, Miami is an 8-point road favorite.
Why?
The total is 48.5.
I have something to say. Can I say something?
Please do.
It won't get us canceled. Wouldn't it be hilarious?
What if Miami won?
I'm on the Eagles. I'm on the Eagles. Not for football reasons. No good one.
Yeah.
Not for any good football reasons. Miami has a track record of performing poorly on Black Friday at noon. I look no further than Pittsburgh in 2017. Or 2018, whatever year that was. That is, I think it was 2017. That is the one, right? Like that is the one you point to.
Yeah.
But this is a worse road environment than even Pittsburgh.
Mm-hmm.
This is worse, and not a good kind of worse. Like this is nobody's going to be there. You gotta bring your own shoes. Mm-hmm. With a bunch of Southern Florida kids, South Florida kids that now have to go up to a western suburb of Boston, Massachusetts, and play at noon the day after Thanksgiving.
So you're going to spend Thanksgiving on the road and then, go play this game that, as Boston College crowds go, I'm guessing not that great.
I would assume not, especially a day after Thanksgiving. In addition to that, Miami is going to get up for a game where we're essentially splitting hairs between whether or not they go to the Sun Bowl or the Pinstripe Bowl or the Fenway Bowl. What are we actually playing for here?
Yeah.
If you're either team, really, but especially if you're Miami as an 8-point favorite, what are you playing? What are we playing for here?
Yeah. So there's one thing here that I am nervous about. And so we'll start here. I'm on Boston College as well. Give me the points, and I tempted to go money line on Boston College.
Oh, okay, all right. Well, we're getting real spicy then. Okay, that sounds good.
The whole proposition here is that we are just expecting Miami to basically no-show this game, right? Because historically, this is what Miami does. Not only have they lost to Florida State, they turned around. They had a senior day home game against a top 10 team, put up a good showing.
Great showing. And played very well. And
so, you can kind of understand how even coming off the Florida State loss, okay, there's still reason to give some effort when you can pull off an upset. It's senior day, all that stuff. Now you turn around, you go on the road. It's cold. You're spending a holiday away from South Florida. You're playing for nothing against a team that you're a big favorite, more than a touchdown favorite on the road here. We're just guessing that Miami's going to no-show. And historically, they have no-showed in this spot. And it would be far from the first time that it happened. The one question or the one thing I'm nervous about here, Mike, is I don't feel like we've really seen the late season no-show under Mario, at least not as bad.
Yeah.
Under Mario, they have not cratered out after losing to Florida State. They have not completely quit. And so if you do get a pretty decent effort from Miami here, I think they're good enough, and Boston College has run into enough problems and injuries and such that, Miami could probably wipe the table with Boston College here.
I can't make this more clear. Boston College is a bad football team. Let me be
Tell us how you really feel.
Let me be the first to tell you yet again for like the third week in a row. Like, they are a bad football team. I was talking about it beforehand, and before I was like really invested in this a few weeks back when Virginia Tech played them. Like, I've been telling you for a while, I don't think Boston College is that good. I've been really clear with that. Let that be known once again.
Yeah.
I think the Eagles are bad. This is all about spot, circumstance, the fact that Miami is coming off of 2 tough losses in a row. It's all that going, right? You got Florida State loss. You got this spot last week against Louisville where they played so well and still came up short. And now you have to get up for a game on the road in Chestnut Hill the day after Thanksgiving. Nobody actually wants to be there.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like, what are you playing? What are you playing for? Right? That's what's the motivation for Miami to show up here?
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't answer that question. I don't know what it is. We're splitting hairs between 2 mediocre bowl games.
Right.
So this would be a sign of maturity. It would be a sign of this would be a big step in the right direction in terms of culture for Mario, right? I just don't know if I have that confidence in Miami yet to not no-show this.
Yeah.
This is a game they historically have no-showed. And I'm just not confident that they're not going to do it again. Give me the Eagles plus the 8. Not for football reasons. If Miami's engaged here, they're going to win by a couple scores. I am as a bettor, I'm betting on them not being engaged.
Yeah, if Miami goes in there and gives you a full 60 minutes of effort, they could win this game by like 3 scores. Basically. Yeah, like they could run away with this without a problem. But I'm with you. I don't expect that they will be fully engaged. And by the way, Boston College, it is senior day there. I think they'll be a little bit fired up. Not only that, but regardless of the records and such, when you see that U logo on the helmets coming in and you hear about it's Miami coming in, like everyone would love a chance to beat a bigger name college football program like that. So I think Boston College has plenty of reason to be motivated here. And I think that shines through. And Mike, you said I'm being spicy here. In fact, I think I'm going to be really spicy. We're going to be really spicy here. Not only do I want Boston College plus 8.
No.
Mike, I'm locking it up. Lock up the Eagles plus the 8.
You better lock it up. No, you lock it up. Lock it up. Lock it up. Lock it up.
Please.
Sure.
Spicy.
It's Thanksgiving week. We're thankful for spicy takes. Sure. It's the last week of
Thanksgiving
the regular
known for spice. Thanksgiving known for spicy food. Actually, I don't know if you knew this, but
yes, turkey and mashed potatoes. Yes, certainly.
Yeah,
you heard Adam at the beginning.
Yeah.
I did. I did hear Adam at the beginning. Yes.
Gotta eat the turkey, then I take a nap. Miami's gonna be napping in the second half, I think.
Yeah. Okay.
Total's 48.5. Over? I think over. I think if you see Miami no-show this, you're really going to see it on their defense. And I think both of these offenses might be able to score in that kind of case. So I'll probably just leave it alone for the sake of it. But gun to my head, I would say over.
I'm just going to go Boston College plus the 8. I am leaving the total alone.
There you go. All right, fair enough. All right. That's it for Friday. Let's move on to Saturday. We've got a whole gamut we got to run through here. We will start at noon on ABC as the Kentucky Wildcats are on the road in Louisville, taking on the number 10 Louisville Cardinals. Louisville a 7-point home favorite here. Total is 50.5. Mike, this is the battle for the Governor's Cup, I believe. One of several Governor's Cups. Scott, you had something there?
I was just saying you're correct.
Oh, sweet. I like that. Kentucky has been something of a mess lately. They have not had a good second half of their year. Louisville, as we've talked about here, I mean, one thing to be very clear on is that Louisville has a number 10 next to their name, maybe a number 9, depending on what poll you're looking at. Louisville is not like a top 10 caliber team in terms of just like actual team quality. All right, so like they have a top 10 resume, they are not a top 10 caliber team that you could just trust to steamroll kind of an underwhelming Kentucky team here. And so definitely nervous about it from that standpoint. Louisville has struggled against Kentucky for a number of years. Some of that, and really for a lot of that, especially under Scott Satterfield, was kind of this nature of being undersized in the trenches and such. That was a big problem, I think, in this game year over year. So again, maybe a little bit of an emotional hedge, but I need to see Louisville beat Kentucky convincingly before I'm going to pick them to do it. So give me Kentucky in the 7 here. I think Louisville can and should win this game, but I don't trust them to get the kind of margin that they would need to cover 7 here.
That's a good pick. I'm also on Kentucky plus the 7. Look, this is a game where Jack Plummer is going to have to throw the football a little bit. Kentucky's passing defense is ranked 90th in the FBS, right? They're in the bottom half of the FBS, almost the bottom third of the FBS. They are not great against the pass. They're very good against the run. Okay, so, I mean, Louisville really makes their hay running the football. Louisville has a good rushing defense. Kentucky also has a good rushing defense. I think where Louisville holds a little bit of an advantage here is if they can protect Plummer up front, I think they can expose Kentucky's secondary a little bit, right? I think that's where Louisville gets separation and wins this football game. But can they do it against an SEC defensive line for 60 minutes? What we've seen in this rivalry in the past is that they have not been able to do that. They have not been able to protect their quarterback in these types of games. They haven't been able to hold up in the trenches. That's what I'm concerned about here again. Even though Kentucky's 6-5, Kentucky lost to South Carolina last weekend, right? Bad loss. South Carolina's bad.
Mm-hmm.
We'll talk about them in a few minutes.
Yeah.
They're bad. Not a great look for Kentucky, right? But Kentucky also went into the swamp and totally pantsed Florida earlier this year, right? Florida's not a great team, but they're better than South Carolina. So I think I'm on Kentucky plus the 7. I think where Louisville could gain the separation is in the passing game, but we haven't had to see it out of Jack Plummer, right? He's put up good numbers when he's had the running game behind him and they've been balanced offensively, but we have yet to see a game this year where Louisville's rushing offense has been stopped and Plummer has had to make some throws in predictable passing situations to win a football game. We have not seen that yet. He hasn't had to pass that test because of their schedule, hasn't had to do it.
Right.
Is this where he has to do it? We'll see. Louisville, for what it's worth, for everything I just said about Plummer, they're like 48th in the country in passing offense. It's been a decent passing game this year for Louisville, despite what we think of Jack Plummer. I'm seeing Harry balls. I'm not going to patronize him.
I believe it's pronounced Hari, but
Two ways.
You could say Harry. I think that makes sense too.
It's neither here nor there. Leary versus Plummer, battle of the Jags. Agree. Battle of the Jags.
Classic ACC quarterback matchup here.
Yes, of course. Just like we all predicted. Yeah, man. We got to trust Plummer for 60 minutes potentially. And that is not something I want to do with my bet. So, yeah, give me Kentucky.
Yeah, ooh, gosh. The one thing that does give me a little bit of pause here is that so Kentucky was 5-0, and in early October they went to Athens to play Georgia, and since then they are 1-5. And I mean, now you lost to Georgia, you lost to Missouri, you lost to Alabama, so 3 of those 5 losses were against decidedly very good teams. I think Tennessee also really pretty good. That was only a 6-point loss. You have the win over Mississippi State, and then last week was really the one bad loss to South Carolina. And I don't know if that's a bit of a body blow thing after the Alabama loss. I don't know if there's a little bit of a look ahead factor with Louisville coming up this week. So they have been in a skid, but they've been playing some pretty good teams along the way. So it's not like there was a lot of bad losses in there. So anything's possible here. I think it's entirely possible that Kentucky wins this game. I hope not. I would love to see Louisville kind of reclaim this rivalry and take control of it again. The other thing that we talk about Jag Plummer back there for Louisville's offense. Mark Stoops and this Kentucky defense, they can scheme some stuff up. And I would hope that I would hope that they would not be able to bait Jag Plummer into a couple throws that he wants to have back immediately after they leave his hand. But I think that's on the table, that there could be a couple of bad turnovers here because he's kind of tricked. His eyes are being tricked into seeing things that are not there, or he just gets himself confused and kind of overwhelmed. I don't know. Anything's possible. But give me Kentucky in the points. Total is 50.5. I might lean under that. I think this could be a bit of a defensive struggle. So give me Kentucky and give me the under.
No thanks on the total, but give me Kentucky plus 7.
Yeah, fair enough. Mike, you good to move on?
I am.
All right. At noon as well, this one's on the ACC network. The Pitt Panthers on the road in Durham taking on the Duke Blue Devils. Mike, Duke is a 6-point home favorite here. Total is 41.5. First of all, gross. I don't know that I want anything to do with this game. This sounds a little bit rough. Second of all, I think Duke here. I think I might lay him with the Blue Devils.
I guess. I am not confident in this pick at all. I'm also laying him with Duke. Don't feel great about it. Weird one for Duke last week against UVA. That's a weird one.
Yep.
I don't know. Give me Duke, I guess. Pittsburgh, I nice win last week against Boston College. I don't know if any of it's repeatable. I think that had a lot to do with Boston College. Mm-hmm. Granted, I think I don't want to take any credit away from UVA. I don't think I did on the recap the other night, but I think a lot of that UVA win, the Duke loss, had a lot to do with Duke just really giving up a bunch of explosive plays defensively. Like, does that happen again? Does Pittsburgh scheme some stuff up? Probably not, right? Do they expose Duke with explosive plays in the passing game? They haven't really done it all year. I don't know, man. I think that Pittsburgh's going to struggle a little bit keeping up with Duke's offense. I just think that what Duke's been able to do offensively since Riley Leonard, left the lineup, I'm not sure that we predicted that the Grayson Loftus experience was going to go as well as it has. Mm-hmm. They have been able to move the ball and still put up some points. And, I know the record at this point is what it is. Losses have piled up a little bit, but it does feel like their offense is performing a little bit better than maybe we thought when Leonard got hurt. Mm-hmm. And I just think that this Pittsburgh team is pretty bad still. I don't want to overrate that win last week. I think it did have a lot to do with Boston College. So give me Duke at home, covering the 6. Again, don't feel great about it. Would not surprise me if Pitt covered. Would certainly not surprise me if they won outright.
Yeah.
All of that's certainly on the table. Don't feel great about the total here either, because I do think this game could go a number of different directions. Like, do I think Duke could get weirdly explosive offensively here? Yeah. Do I think Pitt is going to score a little bit on Duke? Yeah, I do. Duke's defense has not been great the last month or so. All the talks about Leonard and Riley Leonard being out, like, that's the national discussion around this program. Nobody's talking about how badly the defense has played the last month. It has not been very good. So I think this could go over. Could also see a slog of a game offensively in this going under, so I'm staying off this total too. But give me Duke minus 6.
Yeah, I think back to the game that Pittsburgh won against Boston College last week, and I can't get over that. Again, they scored 24 points, but 2 of those 3 touchdowns were on like broken plays, basically like busts.
Yeah.
And so, like, do I think that Duke's defense is going to completely lock down this offense? I think they could. I don't think Pitt's offense is very good, like, at all. But I do think that they would be able to avoid the crazy busts. So I think from that standpoint, I think, again, it was senior night last week in Pittsburgh. Like, I think that kind of gave them an extra boost. Do I expect Pitt now at 3-8? Do I expect them to be able to get up and go on the road into into Durham and be up for this game enough to pull off an upset? Nah, I don't think so. So yeah, I'll lay him with Duke. Anything inside of a touchdown, I feel fine about, but probably wouldn't bet this with my own money. The total, honestly, a little bit low. I somewhat lean to the over, but I don't need I don't need any sort of investment in that total either. So I'm with you. Lay the 6 with Duke for me. But again, I would probably leave this alone, other than in like a pick'em pool or something like that.
Yeah, I want no part of this.
Yep. All right, Duke minus the 6 for the both of us. Mike, let's move on to our favorite time slot. 2:00 on the CW, as the CW underdogs are on the road again. This is the Wake Forest Steamin' Deeks on the road in the Carrier Dome, taking on the formerly Dino Babers Syracuse Orange. Syracuse with an interim coaching staff here at this point. 3-point home favorites. Total's 44.5. And like you said, Mike, first of all, gross.
Gross.
No thank you on anything going on here. Mike, how are we feeling about our favorite South Korean baseball team, CW underdogs? Is this a fortunate week for them?
They're going on the road against a team with an interim coach. Give me Wake. I mean, give me Wake. Syracuse is running Dan Villari out there. Schrader's not healthy. If Wake Forest looks even a little bit prepared against the running game, they'll be competitive. Wake's offense, obviously, nothing to write home about, so don't get that twisted.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure they're going to move the ball a whole lot here. I think my favorite bet in this game is the under. 44.5. That seems like a lot for a team on one side in Wake Forest that hasn't really found a quarterback all year, and a team on the other side that's using a quarterback turned tight end turned quarterback again to play quarterback, and they're not confident in him throwing the ball vertically. What was he, 8 of 8 last week, or 12 of 12 or something like that for like 50 yards?
14 for 54 yards or whatever it was.
Kobe. I mean, he threw nothing but screen passes and swing passes to the running back out of the backfield. So
less than 4 yards per completion is like an impossible stat in college football these days.
Yeah. You know what? We're going to lock up the under here. We're locking it up.
You better lock it up. You better lock it up. No, you lock it up. You lock it up. Lock it up. Lock it up.
Please.
Yeah, I don't see it. Show me the path to a lot of points. I don't know, man.
Yeah, I mean Syracuse's defense has been good too, by the way. We probably haven't given enough credit to Syracuse's defense, and it's interesting because this is the Rocky Long thing, right? Like they run a 3-3-5. It's kind of crazy for other teams to see it, and other quarterbacks, especially if you're not used to seeing it. It can be really confusing to see, but as part of it, Syracuse is badly undersized on the defensive line. I think I saw a stat. They only have one player on their roster who's listed north of, or at least one player on their defense on the roster that is listed north of like 285 pounds or something like that. Like they're basically running a bunch of undersized defensive linemen out there, but they're able to win on speed as opposed to on power. And it's, You would think, like, well, this should work better than it does if you're just trying to run the ball downhill on them, but nobody's really been able to with a lot of effect, I don't think. So I don't mind that pick. Mike, I think I'm laying them with Syracuse because I do think that there is still effort in this Syracuse team. This is for bowl eligibility, by the way, for Syracuse.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that there is investment here. There is a desire. I'm guessing there's probably a little bit of an interim coach bump of, want to play hard for that guy and represent him well. I didn't even see who is the interim coach.
Oh, I can't tell you off the top of my head.
Yeah, I don't know who else is on that staff.
This is Syracuse, Joey.
Yeah, what was it, Jason Beck and Rocky Long? But usually you don't go for one of your coordinators to do that. So, yeah, I don't know. But in any case, I think this is a little bit of a win-win for the Gipper situation. I think this is a get-to-bowl eligibility thing. Physical run game. I don't know how much I trust Wake Forest to stop that at all. So I'm going to go with Wake. I'm going to go with Syracuse here. I'm going to lay the points, and I feel pretty good about it, man. Wake is done, Mike. Like Wake has lost 4 in a row. They've lost 7 of their last 8. Like, it has been a rough go of it for Wake this year, and I don't think this is a get-right spot, or I don't think you see some really inspired performance. So, don't think it's getting there.
Syracuse interim head coach Nunzio Campanile. I can't even pronounce it. Nunzio Campanile.
Well, I got no closer to the answer of who the interim coach is, Joey. Scott, did you?
I trust that a man named Nunzio knows how to game plan for a quarterback named Santino. So
apparently he was the tight ends coach. Yes, he was the tight ends coach.
Yeah, we'll see who draws the short straw and comes out and starts at quarterback for Wake in this game too. So, I mean,
well, Valari was the tight end, so one can assume.
There you go. I think Harry Balls makes a good point here. Dino-free Syracuse romps over Wake. I think that's right.
Andrew Alex, our first ever commenter from Facebook. Thank you.
Andrew, there's this new thing called YouTube that you're allowed to go comment there too. Twitter even, it's there.
I like his second comment the best.
Many people are saying Dino might be a candidate for the Texas A&M job. Mike, you want to handle some podcast business here?
Yeah, let's do it.
You want to tell people about Homefield?
Oh, I'll hit these first. Yeah, that's a good idea because we have another game later. That's fine. Okay, Homefield Apparel. We are sponsored by Homefield. They are fantastic. Officially licensed, extremely comfortable, vintage logos, collegiate apparel. A bunch of mini collections this week. They got a Black Friday sale going. But we prefer that you use our deal. Mm-hmm. Use promo code GOACC at checkout at homefieldapparel.com to get 15% off your first order. All the ACC schools, even the new ones with the exception of Stanford, I guarantee you it's not for lack of trying. So if you're a Stanford fan listening to this podcast tonight, buy Homefield apparel of something else, right? Buy it for another school. Fantastic. So, great. Homefield apparel. Bomber jackets. The bomber jackets are in. Mm-hmm. They're on fire. I keep bringing those up, but we're pushing them because they're selling out quick. And if you're an ACC fan and want a bomber jacket with a sick logo on it of your school, I recommend you go check those out. Those tend to be a little bit more expensive than T-shirts and sweatshirts and hats. That's why you use our promo code. GOACC at checkout, 15% off your first order. Shout out to the gang at Homefield. And we're also sponsored by Vividseats.
Vividseats.
Going to a game this weekend, don't have tickets yet. For some reason, you're going to Chestnut Hill to watch Miami play Boston College.
Don't.
That's on you. Well, yeah, don't. First of all, you're going to have to be buying like tickets for an entire section to be spending $200 or more. But
I was going to say, I don't know if that's $200 of tickets to that game.
I mean, you could buy half the stadium out for that. But in the case that you want to do that on Black Friday, instead of like spending time with family and friends, use promo code BCPod20 for $20 off first order, $200 or more at vividseats.com. You could also just go and watch a good ACC game this week, which there are a couple of them that we haven't talked about yet. You go watch one of those, or you could just simply watch Pitt and Syracuse in the Dome with an interim coach and spend $200 there.
Oh,
whatever. Sweet. Promo code BCPod20.
Our lovely sponsor, Vividseats. You can get tickets as low as $14 to Chestnut Hill on Friday afternoon. So quick math tells me that's 15 tickets to get to 200.
Plus service fees. There's service fees too. So,
buy an entire row, get $20 off at vividseats.com.
Yeah.
And quickly, if you think, well, I want 20% off for Black Friday from Homefield, I'm going back an ad. Use the link in the description, then use the 20% off. Mm-hmm. We'll still get a little something. So use the link below.
We will.
Shows your support for us and our support for them. So
that's right.
Thank you to the people that do that.
That's right.
Mike, we good to move on?
We are.
At 3:30 on the ACC network. This is, we said, what is this? The Commonwealth
Commonwealth
Cup?
Commonwealth Clash for the Commonwealth Cup.
Commonwealth Clash for the Commonwealth Cup. That's a mouthful. Your Virginia Tech Hokies, Mike, on the road in Charlottesville, taking on the Virginia Cavaliers. The Hokies a 3-point road favorite. Total is 51.5. Mike, if I'm not mistaken, Virginia Tech needs this for a bowl game. Is that fair?
By my math, that's correct.
Yeah. 5-6 Hokies. They could still really use a 6th win here. Virginia, bowl game out the window, but it's a rivalry. So from a from the standpoint of motivation and such, that is not a concern here, I would say, number one. I'm kind of fascinated at this game, honestly, because, again, Virginia Tech has played so much better down the stretch. Virginia has like some extra life that has been breathed into it with Anthony Calandria the last couple of games.
Yeah.
And we got so used to Virginia Tech just owning this rivalry for a while. And for this spread to be just 3 points and to be in Charlottesville, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what to do with this game from a picking standpoint. I feel like there's a shot that anything could happen here.
Yeah. So from a football standpoint, this comes down to Virginia, the strength of their offense being the passing game, because Malik Washington is, well, Malik Washington. He's
dudes to the right, dudes to the left, stuck in the middle with you.
Best receiver in the ACC, not named Keon Coleman.
Yeah, probably
maybe.
Fair. He leads the conference in like all major receiving categories.
Yeah,
so.
I mean he's having a better year than Keon Coleman for as much hype as Coleman gets. Right, he's been really good. Their rushing offense is not spectacular, and that's kind of where Virginia Tech's had some issues, right? What if I told you, Joey, that Virginia Tech was top 25 in the country in total defense? Would that surprise you?
A little bit.
Yeah, their passing defense has been really, really good.
My first question would be to turn around and look at the schedule and see what offenses have they played, because
right. Well, yeah.
I don't think of the Hokies right now as like some real defensive force in college football. But I mean, I do think highly of Brent Pry as a defensive coordinator, and I think there's probably something cooking there on defense.
Yeah, so I think a lot of it, I think some of this is inflated, right? Like they're top 25. They're top 25 in total defense. They're not top 25 in scoring defense. I want to make that clear, right? They've had some weird results. Passing defense has been really good, right? I think the secondary has been solid, but some of that early in the year was because a lot of teams didn't have to throw on them a whole lot. Like go through the month of September and look at the issues they were having against the run in particular. That's why the passing defense looked pretty good. Now, teams have been throwing on them a little bit more recently. Brian Armstrong had the most success. He threw for a little over 200 yards. I think Virginia Tech is going to have some success here slowing down Malik Washington, right? I think they're going to have multiple eyes on him. And I think where UVA is going to hurt a little bit here on the offensive side is I'm not sure they have the second guy to really carve up the Virginia Tech defense in the passing game, right? So I think what Virginia is going to try to do is obviously get the ball to Washington. If that doesn't work, they're going to try to run the ball a little bit. Now, Virginia Tech has fared pretty well against teams that haven't been spectacular running the football this year, with the exception, of course, of NC State. Now, NC State result, a little bit weird, little out of character when you consider how Virginia Tech has fared against those types of offenses since the start of ACC play. Every time they've gotten into a game against that kind of offense, it hasn't really been all that great. They've performed pretty well. NC State's the first one since ACC play started where that wasn't the case. Virginia is ranked 112th nationally in rushing defense. Virginia Tech, since the offense has really started to come around, they've started to run the football pretty well, specifically with Kyron Drones. Bashal Tootin only had 2 carries last week. Real odd. Didn't really talk about that much on the recap. Only had 2 carries. He's been one of their better offensive weapons this year. I think Virginia Tech's going to try to commit to a run here. I think that they can throw on Virginia's defense, but I'm not sure how much they'll have to. I think the Hokies have some success running the football here. More importantly, I think where Virginia's gotten into trouble offensively this year has been protecting their quarterback. And Virginia Tech doesn't have an all-world pass rush, but they've succeeded against offensive lines like this for most of the ACC schedule.
Decent pass rush, yeah.
Yeah, decent pass rush. I like the Hokies here in Charlottesville to win. I like the Hokies to cover. I think this is a tight game, though. I think this is a game that Virginia Tech wins by like a touchdown. Calandria does scare me because he can do some stuff. He's a little creative and can extend plays. And I think he provides a little bit more than Castellanos does at BC. This is a very similar matchup to the Boston College game. The Virginia Tech went up to Chestnut Hill and won by 1 million.
Yeah.
This is very similar, except I think Castellanos doesn't quite have the ceiling that Calandria has. Maybe I go back and regret that a few years from now, but that's my thought watching them both play this year. Just the sheer fact, and this, again, I like to emphasize this. This matters, but it also doesn't matter for this particular game. Virginia Tech has owned this rivalry for 2.5 decades.
Yeah.
I mean, they've won like 23 of 25. It's like, you've got to show me that you can do this. Now, I think Virginia Tech can certainly be had. I think there are some weaknesses there, obviously, on defense. But you got to show it to me for 4 quarters, Virginia. And I think Virginia can certainly win this game. But I think they're up against it a little bit in the trenches. And I think they're going to have trouble with Virginia Tech's rushing attack here. So I like the Hokies to win this game by a touchdown. Don't have an opinion on the total.
Yeah.
Do not have an opinion on the total. So that's where I'm at. Hokies win, cover, make a bowl game.
I don't have a whole lot else to add to the breakdown of the handicap beyond all the things that you said here, Mike. I think the thing that I'm going to go with here is that, as you mentioned, Virginia Tech has owned this rivalry for a quarter of a century. Number one. Number two, they are playing for bowl eligibility here. So I'm just going to steer into that and say that the Hokies get it done. I'll lay the 3 points with Virginia Tech. It wouldn't surprise me if Virginia won this by a touchdown. Nope. It wouldn't surprise me at all. And I think that you're right to be afraid of Anthony Calandria because his extending plays, some of the chaotic energy from there ends up with some big plays for Virginia that works out very, very favorably. And I think for that team to have gone on the road and had Louisville on the ropes in the fourth quarter, that's something. That is something. That is not nothing. So I think Virginia has gotten better through this year. We've talked about this, and I think that they are capable of winning this game. But I got to see it first. See it first, and I think Virginia Tech has enough on the line here that they'll pull it together and get it done in Scott Stadium. But again, either team could win this by, I think, 7 to 10 points. Nothing would really surprise me from that standpoint. So, give me the Hokies. I'll lay them. Total's 51.5. Pass, I think.
I have a thought on this game just because as a Virginia Tech alum, I've been paying close attention to Virginia this year. Anthony Calandria really reminds me of a young Tony Romo, and I don't know why. As a Giants fan watching Tony Romo grow up, it felt like that dude would always come in and get a first down, back-breaking play, but then could also kill your team for the Cowboys. That's how I feel when I watch him play. Weird comparison, but that's how I feel.
Yeah.
I mean, 11 touchdowns, 7 picks. It's not like he hasn't been immune to throwing interceptions, right? I'm interested to see if he protects the ball here. And I'm interested to see how Virginia Tech goes and plays a game that's meaningful on the road. They passed a test a couple weeks ago winning at Boston College. That was a good step, right, considering their struggles on the road. But this is a game that really matters. They really need to have on the road in Charlottesville against your rival.
Yep.
Can they get it done? So interested to see how this goes, for sure.
Yeah. Mike, is it fair to say I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, I think was it the Boston College game, I think that I mentioned was a pretty big and pivotal game for perception of Brent Pry within the fan base.
Yeah.
Kind of feels like this one might apply the same way.
Yeah, I broke Twitter because I put up a tweet from my Tech podcast account yesterday asking if the season would be a failure if Virginia Tech failed to make a bowl game, and I used the word failure very. I mean, it was very strategic, that I used that word because I wanted to see what the fan base thought. That thing got like 1,300 or 1,400 votes, and for a while it was literally 50-50. Ended up being 52% said it would not be a failure and 48% said it would be, is what the final results were. But it was 50-50 for a really, really long time yesterday, like up until the time we recorded our Tech pod last night. The fan base is real divided on that. I think there has been success. You found your quarterback. You know what the clear weaknesses of the team are. You're in a better spot now than you were at this time last year. So, like, I think the season's been a success, but it's going to leave a sour taste in people's mouths if they don't get it done in Charlottesville and the ramifications it has for calling yourself the flagship school. That was like what Brent Pry said, the flagship school in the state.
Yep.
Well, you got to beat Virginia to be that, so.
Yep.
Perception. It's a big perception game for Pry.
Absolutely. Hokies minus the 3 for the both of us. Mike, anything else? Are you ready to move on here?
Now let's move on. Talked about enough.
Let's get into the night slate here, and it is a loaded night slate. There's a number of these games that like either would normally be on Black Friday or would be like at noon, I feel like, that are now all stacked up on top of each other at night. So we'll start at 7 o'clock on ESPN as the number 5 Florida State Seminoles are on the road in Gainesville taking on the Florida Gators. Florida State, a 6.5-point favorite here, total 51.5. This is the Sunshine Showdown. Don't say that 5 times fast.
The hoedown, throwdown, baby.
Well,
Miley Cyrus in your life.
Scott, there's a trophy they play for here. Is that right?
I don't know. They play for a gator head. If you saw the thumbnail, some dude was holding a gator head.
There you go.
Could be a trophy.
With like a
trophy of some kind.
Spear going through it or something like that.
Yeah.
Mike, this is game 1 of the Tate Rodemaker era now at Florida State, trying to keep them in the top 5, keep playoff eligibility alive and such. Florida, speaking of teams, I mentioned how Kentucky's kind of been a mess. Florida has kind of been a mess this year, and they are not a particularly imposing bunch right now. I don't know what their best win is. They've lost 4 in a row. They got beat by Arkansas. They got kind of smoked a little bit by LSU. They had actually a close call last week against Missouri.
Should have won.
Yeah, which that's probably maybe their best outcome of the year was almost beating Missouri, or I guess probably has to be beating Tennessee by multiple scores at home there in September, but that's been a while ago. So, I mean, Florida's been largely unimpressive.
Mertz just broke his collarbone.
I was going to say, this is going to be a matchup of backup quarterbacks as Graham Mertz is now out with a broken collarbone. So I think we just don't overcomplicate this. I think we just lay them with the Noles and trust that the other 21 guys around Tate Rodemaker are good enough to where Florida State can get a little bit of margin here. I don't love doing this in a rivalry game on the road like this.
Yeah,
but I think the Noles can be good enough to take control of this game and just not have to get Tate Rodemaker doing too much for them.
I think the thing that scared us about Florida State games this year would be the slow starts,
Yeah.
But in games that have mattered, they have not gotten off to slow starts.
Right.
Like in games that have their full attention, they have not gotten off to slow starts.
Yeah.
Think LSU. Think about the Duke game, right? That Duke game, everybody was talking about how Duke was hanging around, but Florida State played hard and played well early, right? Think about the Miami game. Got off to a pretty quick start. Miami hung around, but they got off to a quick start. I think Florida State gets off to a quick start here.
Yeah.
I feel better. I would feel a lot better about betting Florida as a home dog of nearly a touchdown if Graham Mertz was healthy and we were and we're betting Florida, and we're getting 6.5.
Mm-hmm.
But I think a big reason why the spread's 6.5 is because Mertz is out of the lineup.
Yeah.
So give me Florida State here. I'm with you. I don't want to overcomplicate it. The slow start thing doesn't scare me as much here because I think Florida State now, especially kind of moving forward, all these games are going to have their full attention. They're going to be fully engaged. Every single game matters here now.
Yeah.
Even more so because you don't have Jordan Travis, and the margin for error is literally 0.
Yeah.
Like, you can't come out slow with a backup quarterback. You can't do it, especially if he's and Tate Rodemaker, like when he's played throughout his career so far, he's been competent enough. He doesn't have the ceiling of Jordan Travis, but I don't think famous last words, but like he's not going to go out and kill you, right? I don't think he's going to go into this game at Florida and play scared. He's got enough experience under his belt. He's got a ton of playmakers around him. He's got a really good running back. He's got really good receivers. The offensive line has been solid, and they got a good defense. It's a really good team around Rodemaker. I don't think he's going to go into this game in the swamp worried or concerned. I don't think he's going to pee down his leg. I think they'll be fine here. I think they'll get some separation. I think it'll be a close game, but I do like Florida State to pull away here late and win this game by a couple touchdowns.
Sure. Yep. Yeah, I think this number being inside of a touchdown helps.
Yeah.
I think a one-score win is on the table here for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So something like a 31-24 I think is completely reasonable. It is comforting a little bit to me knowing that Florida State's defense has been as good as it's been at times this year, and they're going to be going up against a Florida offense that I think was already kind of a little bit, hot and cold at times. They weren't really consistently good.
Yeah.
And now without Graham Mertz under center, I don't see them moving the ball very easily, very consistently. So my first instinct on this total is to go over it, but I could also see a game where Florida just basically doesn't move the ball at all, almost. And
yeah,
so I don't know how much scoring you're going to get from the Gators. And so at that point, I'll leave it alone. But Knowles minus 6.5 for me.
I think the joke has been like Graham Mertz isn't really any good because he wasn't really good after basically his first game at Wisconsin. He's had a pretty good year for Florida. Like, this is a pretty significant loss for their offense. Despite Florida's record, it's not because their offense hasn't been moving the ball or because Mertz hasn't played well. So this is going to be heavy on the Trevor Etienne handoffs here. Like, I think he's going to be getting a lot of touches. He's Travis Etienne's younger brother, obviously. He is also a very good player. But I think Florida State's going to be ready to stop the run here and force a young quarterback to beat them. I just don't know if Florida's going to have the juice for 4 quarters to do that.
Yeah. He's not Travis Etienne, but he's pretty good.
He's pretty good. Yeah.
All right, Knowles minus the 6.5 for the both of us, Mike. Let's keep moving, Mike. This next preview brought to you by Section103.com. It is the internet's premier place for all things wonderful Georgia Tech apparel. They have T-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, something for men, women, children, something for the whole family. I saw this week they now have a onesie for young kids, and they also have toddler sizes. So we might be sprucing up some of the inventory here in the next couple days. As you might have noticed and you might have heard on the recap, Section 103, of course, also doing their Gold Friday sale now through November 27th, I believe it is. So go get 20% off everything in the store there between now and November 27th. Go get a Coach hoodie to wear to the game if you want to look like Brent Key. Go get T-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies. They got jerseys supporting NIL efforts for Haynes King, Dante Smith, Zach Pyron, Miles Kelly. They even have a Joe Hamilton shirt on there, so go check that out. Lots of great things for any Georgia Tech fan in your life. Use promo code GOACC for 10% off your first order at checkout. Once again, that's section103.com. Shout out to Steven and the gang doing a wonderful public service for Georgia Tech fans, having the best Georgia Tech apparel on the internet. Go get it there. I'm wearing mine right now. I love it. I love mine. You will love yours. Thank you to Steven. Go to section103.com.
Yes, do that. Comfortable close.
Mike, at 7:30 on ABC, the #1 Georgia Bulldogs, gross, on the road in Atlanta, taking on my Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. Georgia is a 24-point favorite here. Total's 59.5. This is clean old-fashioned hate. They play for the Governor's Cup. Mike, I'm leaning towards taking the points with Georgia Tech here. And it feels like a terrible idea. I do not recommend this. I would not lock this up.
Why?
I'll tell you why.
Good use of that sound.
Number one, Brent Key has made no bones. I think he voluntarily brought it up in his intro press conference that they are going to make a big deal out of this game. That they want to compete in this game. They want to win this game. So there is whatever like quit aspect I think you saw from the team in prior years. You are not going to see it in this game on Saturday. They're going to play their tails off. By the way, that's a big number. There is absolute like backdoor cover potential in the fourth quarter. Not to mention Georgia coming off of a stretch of 3 big games. They've got Alabama next week in the SEC championship game. I think there's a potential little bit of a look ahead / take your foot off the gas a little bit early aspect of all of this. One of the things I like saying on this show is in terms of these lines and such is don't get in the way of the train. I'm trying not to get in the way of the train here, Mike, but with a line like 24, that is a lot of points, and I feel like Georgia Tech might be game enough for 4 quarters to just cover by a little bit. Like I'm saying, like 17 to 21 points. Like not actually threaten to win the game, but you know, kind of just keep it somewhat close. So I guess I'll take the points with Georgia Tech, but I don't see a result where they get a whole lot closer than like 17 here. And it's some of it is what I think of Georgia Tech, but a lot of it's what I think of Georgia. And Georgia has just been an absolute wrecking ball for a month now.
Yeah.
And what you going to do? I mean, so, yeah, I guess give me the points.
Yeah, Georgia's been and I understand all the points you just made. And I think the most valid one is the get ahead by a lot, foot off the gas, backdoor cover.
Out of there.
Backdoor cover. I think that's the most valid one because, like you said, Georgia has been a wagon. They're firing on all cylinders. This is like wrecking ball, total wagon. Like they're running down everybody in their path and they're beating them by 1,000,000 while they're doing it. They've been really impressive over the last month.
Georgia was like once upon a time like 1-6 against the spread this year.
Yeah,
and now they have just hit the gas, I guess, and they've been demolishing people.
All they do is cover spreads now. Mm-hmm. The other thing too is like Georgia Tech kept this game competitive last year for a little while, right? And
I think Georgia Tech had the lead with like 5 minutes left till halftime, basically.
Yeah, and so
came out with a crazy game plan, and it worked.
And so if you have, Alabama next week, and you're coming off of a stretch of multiple pretty big games in a row, right? They just beat Tennessee by 4 touchdowns last week. They beat the piss out of Ole Miss. They beat Missouri. A lot of big games here, and they got another big one next week. But I think if you're Kirby Smart, you say, look, this team was up on you in this game last year. They're better now than they were last year. Georgia Tech's a better team than they were last year. There's motivation that Smart could use pregame to say, look, we shouldn't be taking our foot off the gas. We should be accelerating into the Alabama game, right? Joey, they're really good.
They are.
And they're playing really good football. And I'm sorry that I have to do this, but I'm going to have to lock up Georgia.
You better lock it up. You better lock it up. No, you lock it up. You lock it up. Lock it up. Lock it up.
Please.
Usually when I say it brings me no pleasure, I'm being sarcastic because I love making fun of the team that I'm betting against. This really brings me no pleasure. I have no affinity towards Georgia whatsoever. I would prefer for the Jackets to keep it close because I like you a lot, and I want you to be happy. But I don't think you're going to be very happy watching this game, Joey. I'm sorry. I just don't. unless it's the foot off the gas backdoor cover with the way Georgia's been playing, I just don't see it. I worry about Haynes King with the turnovers. I think he's the one that keeps you in the game, right? I also think he's the one that kills you with the turnovers. And this is how the game gets out of hand. So it depends on what version of him shows up. It really does.
Yeah.
So I worry about him in this spot. They are at home, though, so who knows? Whatever. Who knows?
Mike, you're the guy that watches Star Wars and is cheering for Darth Vader, and that's what I'm hearing here. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, I'm thinking of the Shane Gillis skit where he's rooting for ISIS. That's what I'm not that guy, right?
Yeah.
Neither is he.
Yeah. Mike, do you remember Y2K?
I was young, but yes.
Remember roughly what that was? There was fear of computer systems going down as the millennium turned.
Yeah, a bunch of issues. Yeah.
Anyone with a brain cell knew that wasn't a problem.
Well, the 90s were a weird time, Scott.
I know, I was around.
Well, then you would remember the last time that Georgia Tech beat Georgia in Atlanta, because we still didn't know about Y2K, whether that was going to happen or not.
No.
We did know that Georgia Tech beat Georgia in Atlanta, and that was the last time. It was 1999. So
yeah.
I don't think you have anything to be worried about here, Mike, picking Georgia to win this game. Just in case you were a little bit nervous about that pick.
I was not nervous about the money line pick. I guess I locked it up. I guess I'm not really that nervous about the spread pick either, but
Yeah. Our guy Jake Grant. First of all, hi Jake. Good to see you. All I need from this game is for the rec right out to not be booed. Yeah, so that's also been a problem with this game in recent history. Is it is a home game for Georgia Tech in location only? Really? Mm-hmm. Let's work on that. Maybe don't give your tickets away and sell them to Georgia fans if you can avoid that.
A lot of dog fans in Atlanta.
Protect your house. I've told you the story of. Never mind. I'll tell you later.
Okay,
we're running along here. All right, Georgia Tech plus the 24 for me. Mike lay in the 24 with Georgia and has them locked up. Total's 59.5. I lean over.
Oh yeah, this is it. This is an over game.
I think
it could go a number of different directions, but this is the first total I'm picking tonight. I do like the over here.
You locked up the under in Wake Forest and Syracuse.
Oh, that's right. I forgot I did that. Yeah, that's right. I'm sorry. This is second total I like tonight.
Second one. Yes, that's correct. Yeah, give me the over here. Overs have been good in Georgia Tech games. So, all right, let's keep it moving. Also at 7:30, this is on the SEC Network, noted ACC football channel, the SEC Network. The number 24. Hey, look, Clemson's ranked. The number 24 Clemson Tigers on the road in Columbia, taking on the South Carolina Gamecocks. Clemson's a 7-point road favorite here. Total is 51.5. Mike, I always feel bad and feel dumb when we get into rivalry week, and I just look and I've picked all the ACC teams to cover because it just feels like that's this is my homerism at work or whatever. But I think I'm on Clemson here.
Yeah,
I think I'm just laying them, especially the way that game went last year. I don't think Clemson's going to hold back here. I think South Carolina, again, kind of a mess, and I think Clemson goes in there and takes care of business.
South Carolina's 50th in the country against the run, so they're slightly above national average, right? They're okay.
Yeah,
they're just kind of meh. And Clemson's been really running the ball well. I think they're going to commit to that once again here. I think Clemson's got the motivation factor for what happened last year. I think Clemson's just a better football team. I think they're playing better. They're starting to hit their stride a little bit here. Clemson has the opportunity to have a down year and still win 9 games, which would be, something for Dabo to hang his hat on heading into the offseason, right? With how messy it got early in the year for you to, have your down year be a 8-win season and then to get your, the opportunity for a 9th in a bowl game would be huge. Yeah, I don't really like the spot for South Carolina at all. They've struggled all year to protect Spencer Rattler. Clemson's got a really good front seven. I think they're going to wreak havoc in the backfield against South Carolina. I think they're going to win the war in the trenches defensively. And then offensively, I think they are going to be able to move the ball on the ground in this game. So I am laying them with Clemson. I really like Clemson a lot here. Not enough to lock it up just because we've seen Clemson's offense lay an egg here and there, so I'm a little bit concerned that, maybe they get a little pass happy and this game gets a little odd. But, yeah, I do like Clemson to win and cover here.
Yeah. I look at for most of these games, I'm looking to see what SP Plus thinks. What SP Plus will pick not only the winner but by the margin here, and it's got Clemson winning by 5 points, so it would say take South Carolina with a 7, basically. But the thing that I'm not even bringing this up with most of these games because it feels like there are a good number of these ACC teams that were drastically different in September than they are now in November.
Yeah.
They have changed, and those things are all being weighted kind of equally, right? Is like the games where they're better now or they're worse now, whatever, are all weighted the same. And so seeing that like Virginia Tech is favored by like 8 points over Virginia in this situation, well, I think that's factoring in Virginia being awful the first month of the season. Well, technically, Hokies were too, I guess, that first month or so. But it's just like I don't know how to account for that, basically, that these teams change, and yet that doesn't seem like it's really reflected in these rankings. So I'm a little bit spooked when I see Clemson by 5 with SP Plus, but I keep telling myself, as we've said, in the last few weeks, last month or so, it seems like Clemson really establishing some identity, and that's working in their favor, and these games are going better as a result. So I'm going to stick with Clemson. I'll lay those points. Total's 51.5 again. Why does it feel like the total in almost every one of these games is like 51.5?
Yeah, that's why I'm staying off a lot of them.
Yeah, it's very just down the middle, I don't know. So
Pass.
Miami, Boston College, 48.5. Kentucky, Louisville, 50.5. Virginia Tech, Virginia, 51.5. Florida State, Florida, 50.5. Clemson, South Carolina, 51.5. Half of these totals are within like 2 points of each other, basically.
Yeah. Yep.
So, yeah, leave it alone. All right, Clemson, -7 for the both of us. Mike, last game of the night on the ACC network at 8 o'clock, the North Carolina Tar Heels are on the road in Raleigh, taking on the number 22 NC State Wolfpack. North Carolina, a 2.5-point road favorite here, total 55.5. Mike, is there a good reason to not take a home dog in this situation?
Nope. Lock them up. Lock up the pack, baby.
You better lock it up. No, you lock it up. You lock it up. Lock it up. Lock it up.
Please.
North Carolina, they've been struggling against good defenses. NC State has a really, really good defense. A really, really good defense. They stop the run. North Carolina's been running on everybody. NC State's got a top 20 defense nationally against the run. They're 15th in the country stopping the run. Does Amarian Hampton run for like 170 yards in this game? If he does, he's going to have a lot of carries to do it.
Yeah.
I don't trust North Carolina to be patient enough to give him the carries that I think he needs to get to that number, right? To run the ball for 175 yards, 200 yards. When Carolina's been at their best this year, he's been running for that type of stat line.
Mm-hmm.
They've committed to the run. In games where North Carolina has not been successful, they've gotten pass happy, and they've made Drake May do it all by himself, a lot like he had to do last year. I love NC State here. I think that their defense is going to yield some points to an imperfect offense. I don't trust Carolina to consistently get stops against Brian Armstrong, who I think is going to be playing with some confidence after how he played in Blacksburg on the road last Saturday. I've already locked up 2 games. This is my favorite one at the weekend. I will be betting this game. I love the Wolfpack here. Win outright. On the money line. On the money line. I'm betting them on the money line. Make that clear in the pick, Scott. You got that covered for me.
Wolfpack outright.
Outright
the
on the field.
Got it.
Got it. On the field.
I think I'm with you, Mike. And it's North Carolina, this is kind of 2 teams that are playing are kind of trending in different directions right now. North Carolina has been struggling lately. They have not been playing nearly as well here in the back half of the season. NC State with, quarterback changes and controversies, and now MJ Morris transferring, and Brennan Armstrong now goes out and has like one of his best games of the year last week. I don't know why I wouldn't. First of all, I don't know why I wouldn't pick NC State to win this game because, yeah, this is one of the better defenses in the country. If anybody's going to be able to slow down North Carolina, and especially that run game, it's going to be the Wolfpack, number one. Number two, this rivalry game historically gets weird. And there are crazy games that happen. There's been at least one overtime game. I think it was last year an overtime game. I feel like maybe multiple recent games were overtime games. Any situation like that, just give me the points.
Yep.
Give me the points. Now, of course, this is a really low number anyways, so you're more or less just picking someone to win. But yeah, I'm with you. Give me the Wolfpack outright. I think they win this game, and I look forward to watching this game. This will be probably a hell of a lot of fun to watch. But I think NC State can. I think the key you're spot on with the key being can they slow down Amari and Hampton?
Yeah,
and I think they can. And he's been really good this year. He's been extremely productive. I think where he's really excelled is break a tackle or two and turn a 4-yard gain into a 25-yard gain, something like that. I don't know how much of that he's going to be able to do against NC State's defense with the way that they've been playing. So
yeah.
I think for that reason, and for Drake May, low-key kind of underwhelming this year. Not the best year back for him. So yeah, give me the Wolfpack.
Yeah, I don't know if he's been really underwhelming or if just like the offense has been different. He was turning the ball over a lot more earlier in the year, so I do think he has been playing better overall. But like he's only thrown 22 touchdown passes to 7 interceptions, right? So those numbers look a little interesting. He has thrown for 3,300 yards though, right? So I mean he's had a decent year. I just think he was so good last year because he had to carry him. Mm-hmm. And they've been able to lean on the run a little bit more this year, so the offenses look different. And I think the turnovers early in the year, like Carolina was cruising to wins, but he was turning the ball over like once a game.
Yeah. And
he chilled out a little bit with that. Gave it away a couple times the last few weeks, but in totality, he's been playing a better football throughout the second half of the year. I think this is a game where he's going to be relied upon a lot, and he hasn't really been put in that spot a whole lot this year.
Yep. Wolfpack outright for the both of us. Mike, you got it locked up. Total's 55.5. Pass. No thanks. All right. That's all the games we got for the ACC this weekend, Mike. To recap our locks, I have Boston College +8 at home against Miami on Black Friday. You have under 44.5 in the Wake Forest Syracuse game. You have Georgia -24 against Georgia Tech. Gross. You also have NC State plus the 2.5 locked up, and of course we just took the Wolfpack outright to win the game. Mike, just to make sure that you don't feel alone having multiple locks, I will go ahead and lock Syracuse -3 against Wake Forest.
You better lock it up. You better lock it up. No, you lock it up. You lock it up. Lock it up. Lock it up.
Please.
That is disgusting.
It is.
That is so. And I made a pick in that game. That is gross.
Yep. But you know what we say around here, Mike?
I don't care. I'm a sicko.
Damn right I am. I think some
the
of
pitch
some of
on that
is,
sounded so weird. I don't know what happened there.
So I think some of this is believing in Syracuse. Some of this is just being totally out on Wake Forest, and that's a small number at home, bowl eligibility, all that. I think it's a good spot for Syracuse. So lock that up.
It's fair.
All right. Do we need to talk about anything else? Or kind of other games going on around the country? Who you got? Ohio State, Michigan.
I mean, that's the one.
The game, as they call it. The big game? Big game.
It is a big game. What's the spread?
Ooh, good question.
Hold, please.
It's in Ann Arbor.
I'm seeing
Michigan -3.
Of course.
Which is Vegas saying,
Do you trust J.J. McCarthy more than Kyle McCord?
yes.
Do you care that Harbaugh is not coaching and that Sharon Moore is?
Not really. I don't think.
I think Cover 3 had a good little snippet on that today. Like, they're at home. Like, couldn't he just call them at halftime? I don't know.
He'll be waiting in the locker room at halftime to help make adjustments.
No, he's not allowed to be at the field, but that apparently was the only like stated rule. So they were theorizing. Shout out to Bud. He was theorizing like an Apple Watch, like the Red Sox.
Noted baseball guy, Bud Elliott, big baseball guy.
Michigan developing a new app for the watch just to be able to cheat in a football game, basically.
Yeah.
There you
I think I'm leaning Michigan.
Yeah,
I
think so too.
Kyle McCord on the road. I mean, he did it in South Bend. Like, this is
Barely. He should have been picked off so many times in that game.
shout out to another podcast I was listening to, Split Zone Duo. They mentioned, like, he did this in South Bend. It is different when you are an Ohio State quarterback playing against Michigan in Ann Arbor. It is different. And I'll believe it when I see it. I mean, Ohio State has the horses, right? They got the running game with Henderson. They got the receiving core, obviously, with Ibuka and Marvin Harrison. That we got to see it, though.
Yep.
So, yeah, McCarthy at home. He's been playing really well this year. Give me Michigan, I think.
It's been a couple years since we've seen it, and so I'm with you. I didn't see it.
What do we feel about the Iron Bowl? How much does Alabama win by?
I think. I was gonna say I think Auburn at this point is a little bit of a fraud.
Lost to New Mexico State last week.
Fraudulent
Fighting Jerry
six-win
Kills.
team. This is 42-14 or something. I mean, this is
14.5 right now. I'm tempted to just take Blair Layham with Bama.
It's in Jordan Hare.
That doesn't matter.
I'd play him. Yeah, I don't think it matters. I don't know. That's a game that does also frequently get very weird, especially when it's in Jordan Hare. But I don't know if Auburn's got the magic this year. Like, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, give me Bama.
And the other one I was gonna ask you guys about is Oregon State, Oregon.
Yeah, that is a
War.
huge game. That is my favorite game of the weekend, I think, even more so than Michigan-Ohio State, which obviously is getting the headlines. That Oregon State game, man, with how
Friday
Oregon
night,
State
8:30,
looked,
standalone.
Give me Oregon.
with how Oregon State looked last week for the entirety of that game and to lose the way that they did. And DJU's playing well, and Oregon State is good. Like, they are a really good 8-3. They've lost some real tough games this year. They are a good 8-3. Give me Oregon. Oregon's a playoff team. I think Oregon
13.5.
13.5.
It's a lot. It's a lot, but they are at home.
Yeah.
I'd consider laying them. I'm probably going to stay off it. I'm probably not going to bet it. I do think Oregon wins, though.
I'm going to take the over.
I'm going to take Oregon
2.5.
to win, Oregon State to cover.
Yeah.
A lot of points, and especially the last few years, Oregon State's been very game in that matchup. Like, even in years where it looks totally lopsided, Oregon State can keep that thing close.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it'd be a fun one.
I think Oregon's a playoff team.
Yeah. I think Oregon, low-key, might be, close to the favorite in the playoff.
Yeah.
If they got in.
Yeah, if they get in, they're going to be a trendy pick.
Yeah. They look like a little bit of a wood chipper. Harry Balls, Auburn pulls off the upset. Bama beats Georgia. Louisville wins out and goes to the playoff. Don't threaten me with a good time.
That would be funny.
I'm here for it. Let's do it.
That would be a recipe for the SEC potentially not getting in, especially if Texas wins out.
That would be awesome.
That would be really funny.
Here for it. Here for it. I think that's all I got on Rivalry Week. Anything else before we work on getting out of here?
Everybody's complaining about like the playoff rankings, and I have never cared less about the college football playoff. Whoever the 4 teams are will be the 4 teams. I used to like get all up in arms about it. I do not care this year, even a little bit. I haven't watched any of the shows on Tuesdays.
Who watches that?
They
send the notification to my phone. I'm like, great.
Yeah.
I'm
Next
skipping.
week.
I don't listen. And Cover 3 is one of my go-to college football podcasts. I skip the poll show that they do on Tuesday nights. I don't listen to it.
That hits my feed and it's an insta delete. Like I don't
care. Listen to it. I don't care. And
I don't think they care, honestly. I think they do
No.
for
They have
content purposes. But I think if you asked any one of those hosts, off the record, they'd be like, this is like one of the most nonsense things that we have to do.
It's got nothing to do with them. I'm sure they're putting out good analysis with it. And, I've tried to listen to a couple of them, and I can't make it through the full episode because I'm like, we're just talking about hypotheticals, and these guys don't care, and I don't care.
Yeah.
And it's not an indictment of them. It's just that I don't care.
Yeah.
So I just want to get that out there. I'm seeing all these like scenarios play out on. Look, if Texas goes 12-1 and Texas beat Alabama, like there's Texas and Alabama could both get in the playoff potentially, but Alabama's not getting in over Texas when they lost to them and they're both conference champions. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
Like that doesn't happen. Florida State is not going to be left out as an undefeated conference champion. It has never happened. An undefeated P5 has never been left out of the college football playoff. It's not going to happen. Like, stop with these stupid hypotheticals.
At this point, we're not going to have 5 undefeated power conference champions.
No.
Right? Because Texas has lost.
Yes.
Everyone in the Big 12 has lost at least one game. So at that
except
point,
for Washington.
You said Big 12.
Oh, sorry. You said Big 12.
Yeah.
Pac-12, yeah.
Everyone's
Sorry.
lost at least once.
Yes.
The Pac-12, you have Washington. The Big 10, you have Ohio State and Michigan. The
One of them's
SEC, you
gonna
have
lose.
Georgia.
Right.
Speaking of Washington, Apple Cup, any weirdness there?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
I think Washington State's kind of fallen off a cliff a little bit since looking pretty good earlier in the year.
Yeah.
They put it on. They put it on Colorado last week, though. That was kind of fun.
I will be
cover
betting
for you.
I'll tell you what I will be betting. Big spread.
Mm-hmm.
Notre Dame on the Pac-12 network on Saturday night.
Stanford
on
the farm.
A 26-point favorite against the Cardinal. Stanford beat Notre Dame in South Bend last year. People forget. Give me the Irish.
Oh, you're laying them.
Lay 'em. You kidding me?
Wow. Interesting. Betting against ACC programs like that is it's a bold
That's
choice.
exactly what I was thinking, I will have
Is
the
Stanford
luxury
better or worse than Wake Forest?
Ooh.
Gross.
Maybe a little better?
Maybe a little better.
Like right now, put them on a neutral field. Yeah, I don't know. Stanford minus 1 or 2, maybe.
Can we have a Sickos Bowl between Wake Forest and Stanford?
Oh, God.
That's probably what, like Labor Day weekend next year? Do
Stop
that.
it. Stop it.
Oh, yeah. ACC. Duh.
I want to get the updated total. Found it. I need a total bet here.
This is the Iowa game?
Of course it is.
Under.
26.5. Iowa, Nebraska.
I'll take the over.
Actually, over. Over.
I
Because
think it'll be like
Nebraska's going to turn the
28.
ball over about 3 times, and Iowa, at some point, is going to just keep kicking field goals or something. And you only need 9 field goals to get to 27 points. So, I mean,
Harry Balls. Wake Forest Stanford on the CW next Thanksgiving.
there it is. There it is.
Some people watch NFL. We watch Wake Stanford on the CW. I don't even know which one's a CW underdog there.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know.
Just the underpants. Just the underpants.
Mm-hmm.
Just the yes. Yes.
Yep.
Harry Balls
So
also mentioned
underdogs. Underpants.
money line Beavers, and I'm going to leave that alone.
We're not doing phrasing anymore? Anyways.
All right.
Not
I
here.
am good.
Yeah, I'm good too.
All right. This has been a lot of fun. Let's go watch some games. We're going to come back and recap them.
Eat some turkey.
Eat some turkey. Yeah, take a nap afterwards.
Have some bourbon.
As our Sherpa Adam Sandler says to do. Mike Scott, I think we're doing Saturday Night Fever this week, as we often promise to do, and half the time keep up our promises on.
We've been doing that most of the year. I think we've missed maybe 3 weeks.
Yeah, that we were planning on doing it. There've been a couple others that we were traveling or whatever else. So
Yeah. I'm down.
yeah,
I don't think I have anything going. I work, so yeah.
I'm just putting up Christmas decorations on Saturday, so I'm game.
look at you wait until after Thanksgiving.
Couldn't
Yeah,
write it.
because
Scott.
I respect Thanksgiving and all it is.
Thanksgiving respecter. You can tell by the turkey hat. Looking good, Scott.
Oh yeah.
Don't want to walk into my house, Scott. That's all I'll say.
I was just in your house. I know.
You know, yes, you know.
There was my team at work had a chat thread going like last week that was, hey, send pictures of your Christmas tree and your decorations. I was like, I'll let you know once they're up. Not
Correct.
yet. Not yet.
Yep, not yet.
So once you're done putting your Christmas decorations up after Thanksgiving, come join us in the chat. It'll be Saturday night, probably a few minutes after midnight Eastern. We will get together, do Saturday Night Fever, recap all those games, and get ready for bowl season. Maybe any other coach firings that could happen. So we'll see how things go. We'll talk to you then Saturday night. Once again, youtube.com/@the-ACC Football Podcast. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the bell icon to come join us in the chat Saturday night. That would be a lot of fun. We'd appreciate the folks that do. By the way, I always forget till this part, but hopefully people are still listening. If you're watching these games Friday, Saturday, you see a Go ACC Moment of the Week candidate, you see something like that happen, please send us tweets, send us emails, smoke signals, whatever you got with like videos or anything at all to alert us to something that you saw. That would be super helpful for us. It helps to enhance the show. So if you see something, a Go ACC Moment of the Week candidate, please send it to us. And we would love to be able to incorporate that. We appreciate that. Mike, we're on Twitter at FTRSJoey, at Mike McDaniel SI, together at BC Podcast ACC. You can send us an email to the longest email address known to man, basketballconferencepodcast@gmail.com.
Nailed it. Voice is going.
Yeah, same. We're on iTunes, we're on Spotify, all the other places you can go find audio podcasts. If that's how you prefer to listen after the fact, or once again, you can come on YouTube. Mike, where else are we on these social medias?
Try to make it through this. Facebook.com/basketball conference rate review. Find all of our podcasts there. YouTube.com/@the-ACC Football Podcast. Instagram at BC Podcast ACC. Did that a little bit out of order, but you catch my drift. Also, rate, review, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, please.
Nailed it. Well done.
Thank you.
I think it's time that we get out of here. How do y'all feel about that?
Absolutely.
You want to come back and recap the games Saturday night
Yes, sir.
for one last time in the regular season?
Already.
Well, thank you guys so much for listening. Thank you for joining us here in the chat. For the folks who were here, that was a lot of fun. Enjoy the games. Have a great Thanksgiving. Enjoy your holiday. We will talk to you all very, very soon. And for Mr. Mike McDaniel, for Mr. Producer Scott, I am Joey Weaver. Thank you all so much for listening. Talk to you again very, very soon. Until then, go Jackets, go Cards, go Hokies, go ACC.